What's going on, guys? B Green Flex here, voice of Flex, back with another one. Today we are going to react to It's Complicated again. He dropped a new video a few days ago. Haven't seen it yet, but it's complicated. Always got the heat for us. So today we got Lonely Men, Rules of Modern Dating, and Understanding Women. Let's go.
Is it easier for a man or a woman to acquire sex?
It is much easier for a woman to acquire sex.
Why is that?
Because we choose. We choose whether or not we have the option of whether or not we're gonna let a man have sex or not.
Facts.
I don't think that that's necessarily true.
Don't women typically
I always appreciate when women are like, on the up and up. She's cognizant of the situation.
consent to sex?
Consent goes both ways.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. What's the longest that a man's ever made you wait for sex?
You know what? It's happened. I don't know.
But does that typically happen?
Maybe. No, it doesn't typically happen.
Okay, so isn't it fair to say that women generally control access to sex more than men
If
do?
a woman wants sex, she can get it. If a man wants sex, doesn't
Okay,
mean
so
that he can
then
necessarily
yes.
get it.
Okay,
Yes.
so is it safe to say that women typically control access to sex more than men do? Because it's easier for a woman to get sex than it is for a man?
Look at him.
I don't like the phrasing that you're boxing me into.
But why though? Like, you could tell because the whole time she already been just arguing the whole point. But like, why do you not like the phrasing? Like, why does the phrasing matter? Why does it matter how he said it? Why does it matter? Like, just pay attention to the point, to the actual idea of the conversation, to the facts. Don't worry about how it's coming out. Like, but you know what it is? It's because she doesn't want to admit it. She doesn't want to see the opposing side, see the male side of how difficult it actually is to obtain sex or to get females to even, consider going out with you, let alone, have sex with you. And I don't know, but it just stumps me. Like, the world we live in today, you can't say certain things just because the way that it sounded coming out. Not even that what you actually said is wrong or hurtful or anything. It could just sound wrong. Like, it's crazy.
But
But I mean, do you have a different way of explaining it? I mean, is that not generally true?
I think that
I mean, if it's easier for a woman to get sex and it's harder for a man to get sex, we can't conclude that women typically control access.
okay, it's easier for a girl for sure.
The eye roll. She was so sick that she took that L. She was sick, bro. But it's funny because at the start of their conversation, she was like all happy-go-lucky, whatever. And then when she got freaking, she got rolled, then she just accepted defeat, whatever. Which I respect, because she could have just kept arguing. But it's just the defeatedness. It's like, why do you have to be defeated? Why can't we just acknowledge this information together?
Sure.
Yeah, guys are thirsty.
Since it's harder for men, should women be surprised that guys have lower standards for sex than women?
No.
Not really, because I mean, they just want to get it in, right?
Yeah, real quick. I don't know.
Don't women have the privilege of being more picky because they have more options?
What the hell? You know what I'm talking about, man. The hair, man. Like, and then the freaking eyelids to match it. Like, it's too much. Like, I bet most of the dudes watching me right now would agree that shit is not attractive. Or if you do find it attractive, it's in a kinky, like, role playing way. Not that you actually want your girl to be walking around looking like that every day.
I mean, I
Yes.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't women have the privilege of being more picky because they have more options?
Yes.
Yep.
Have you ever heard of an incel?
No.
An incel?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Have you ever heard of an incel?
No.
Okay, incel stands for involuntarily celibate, and it refers to a person who can't get any sex. Who is more likely to be involuntarily celibate, men or women?
Men.
Men. I think it's 1 in 3 men are not having sex right now.
That's right.
In today's society, if a man goes up to a woman and asks her for her number or Snapchat, he's looked at as like a creep and a pervert. But if a woman goes up to a man, it's 100% okay, which is not okay to me.
Why are men shamed for not being able to get
Random,
sex,
but facts.
but also shamed for trying to get sex?
That's a good question.
Because freaking women, like, it's not that they don't know what they don't know what they want, but it's not it's not that they don't like getting approached. It's just the fact that they only want to get approached by attractive men, and their view on attraction now is so skewed because of Instagram, Facebook, freaking fans only, all this stuff. Their vision is so skewed as to like what a good man actually is. You have to have all these things criteria before you can even step up and give it a shot. But it's like there could be actually good men that are trying to shoot their shot with you, trying to get to know you. I mean, of course, they want to have sex with you, but they could be legitimately wanting to have a relationship with you too, actually getting to know you. But you just turn them away because you want the blue check dude, blue check mark, or you want the dude that you know for certain got the big house and all this stuff, and it's just that's that disconnect we've been talking about in all these videos. It's getting very, very large.
Um, I think it's the way they go about trying to get sex, because women want relationships. Well, I
Yep.
can't say all women, but a good amount of women want relationships, and when you meet the men that just want sex, it kind of tarnishes everything.
Is it fair to shame men for being incels when women are the ones who control access to sex?
I don't think you should shame anybody for anything.
Is it fair to shame men for being incels?
Come on now, like that semantics. Like you're trying to dodge around the question while still using the terms of the question. It's like no, like is it fair? Yes or no?
When women are the ones who control access to sex?
No, not at all.
Isn't that victim shaming?
Yes, 100%.
Isn't every man who's been rejected temporarily an incel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it fair to portray incels as lazy, immature losers because they don't conform to women's standards and selectivity?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Fucking incel.
If a man can't get sex, he might be made fun of and called names just for that. Then, well, also I think if a man does get a lot of sex, it might be like everyone praises him also for getting a lot of sex. So I don't really think that there's a whole lot of men out there that are getting shamed for having a lot of sex.
Is it fair to portray incels as
They're not
lazy,
getting shamed for
immature
having a lot of
losers
sex.
because they don't conform to women's standards and selectivity?
Negative.
No.
Everybody is built different and has their own standards in life.
If a man does conform, does that make him a simp?
Negative.
No.
Why is it more acceptable to shame men for having low standards versus shaming women for having
super
unrealistic
high.
high standards?
Stumped.
That is right.
Don't know what
I'm
to say.
speechless on that one.
Oh yeah, you kind of got me
that one.
flabbergasted on that one.
Right, you're fluttered. Don't know what to say.
It's because they never think about it in that regard. I will say I appreciate the fact that these two wonderful ladies are, actually being receptive and not just trying to argue or just trying to, say he's an incel or some shit. But they honestly never ever consider it from the opposing side. And it just it goes back to everything, man. Think about like how they even view attraction. The reason why women want to be independent and make all this money and whatever is because they think that's what is attractive to us. It's like, no, stop looking at it through your lens and think about it from the male side. It's about just sex and appearance. That's the only thing we want. But if they can't recognize that after all this time, then there's no way they're going to think about it even down to the minuscule level of just being able to have sexual access and just being able to, interact with the opposite sex. They're not going to think about it as deep as, oh, maybe women really do have high standards. Maybe we are being unrealistic. No, they're just going to shame men for not being able to acquire women.
Survival of the fittest. Whoever seems like they're about to get it in, gets it in, and they continue their genes and whatnot. But besides that, like, I don't know.
So would you say, based on that women ultimately control the evolution of society?
Yes.
Based on the men that they choose?
Yes, it's because it's like the mating rituals. Like they say yes or no in most breeds.
So then how are we
species.
living in a patriarchy where men have all the power?
Just because that's how society was set up when women were supposed to stay home and take care of the kids and the guys went out and did all that shit and we're supposed to rely on them.
What is the longest you've gone without having sex?
I understand her answer because of how she's like trying to view it, but it's not. That's not the reason why.
A year?
What is the longest by choice you've gone without having sex?
A year?
Probably like 18 years.
What is the longest by choice you've gone without having sex?
Probably like a month.
Who's more likely to lie about how long they've gone without sex, men or women?
Women.
Don't men lie about getting more and women lie about getting less?
Yes.
No. Yeah.
Don't men lie about getting more and women lie about getting less?
It's funny because he didn't say anything. It's complicated, whatever his name is. He didn't say anything because he was like, wait a second. He'll recognize it. He'll recognize it.
Yes,
Why?
because we're seen as being tarnished for the more sex that we have.
Why are women who
Makes
sleep
sense.
around seen as sluts while men who sleep around are seen as studs?
Because men don't want to see that their woman that they have prospect to be interested in has been with every man.
Could it be because it's easier for a woman to be a slut?
No,
Well, don't women control access to sex?
they do, but there are many male sluts. They're just being praised for being that way.
But isn't it harder for a man to be a male slut than it is for a woman to be a female
Yes.
slut?
Depends on the man.
Wouldn't you?
Stop. Like, see, in this, why does she have to do that? She was starting so good. All her answers been good. You know what I'm saying? Oh, fuck, my mic is fucking up. My headset's all fucked up. I need to get a new one. But anyway, she was starting off good, had all the answers going good, and then now she's trying to like play this dance within this question, and it's like, no, you already answered the question, and within all the other questions you answered it, and you're like now like avoiding. I don't know. I just don't get it.
You say that the high value men with lots of options are rare?
Yeah.
So then wouldn't you say that it's more likely for your average woman to be a female slut than your average man?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Women
See?
sleep with who they
I knew she was
want,
gonna bring
men
it back.
sleep with who they can.
Yep.
Facts.
What's the difference between shaming a woman for being a slut and shaming a man for being an incel? In other words, why are women shamed for having too much sex while men are shamed for not getting any sex?
But then they flip around and will tell you that, oh no, it's not attractive if a guy has sex with girls. No, I don't want a good dude that's been around and this and that. But yet they shame you for being an incel, or that's the word they use to shame you. But then girls, it's, oh no, body positivity and slut walks and all this crazy stuff, and like make it okay to have all these high bodies. But yet the first thing they call each other when they're fucking mad at each other in an argument, slut, whore, dumb bitch, you fucked every dude you met, all this other shit. Like, make it make sense.
Well, women can't have sex without being attached in some way. It's just in our innate.
What do you mean they can't have sex?
Not that they can't have sex. They can't have sex without having some type of emotional attachment.
Why do you think men are more likely to be able to have sex without feelings than women?
Because you guys are made to procreate.
Facts.
The name is involuntarily celibate, so the man is not choosing.
Yeah, he doesn't have a choice for that one.
Oh,
but
yeah.
us females, we definitely have a choice to be a slut or not.
Well, because women control access to sex.
I control whether you take my clothes off or not.
We do.
Don't women have a choice to be a slut, but a man doesn't have a choice to be an incel?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Definition
then why would it be worse to
voluntarily
call a
celibate.
woman a slut than it is to call a man an incel?
Facts.
I don't know why it would be worse.
But our society labels it as worse.
They label being an incel worse than being a slut?
Well, in other words, a lot of women resent being called a slut when they have
Correct.
a choice to be a slut, but it's okay for men to be called incels when men don't have a choice to be an incel because men don't control access to sex.
I think men don't have the choice on what they're doing, but nowadays with social media going the way it is, women have actually embraced slut. And that's the problem.
Do you think women today are more interested in relationships or hookups?
Both.
You know, I would say more hookups today.
Why?
Because
Both.
they have all these rappers, influencing them.
If we're gonna answer the question, because he did answer, I'm sounding like a girl when I'm sitting here saying both. But if you're gonna answer the question as a A or B choice, I would say hookups too. But there's a disconnect because inherently they do want to have serious relationships, and most of the time when they do hook up with a dude, it's because subconsciously they're thinking, okay, this guy's gonna commit to me. He's gonna be my new man. At least that's what they're thinking in their heads. Whereas men are just,
Like, they're trying to play the role as men, they're trying to play us out of our money, and it's bullshit.
Me personally, I'm more interested in relationships. Women nowadays, I think, are more worried about their careers and hookups.
So if women are more interested in hookups, how can a man let a woman know he just wants to hook up without making her feel like a slut?
There isn't a way, no matter what.
So aren't we kind of damned if we do, damned if we don't?
Yes, you are.
Would you rather have the best sex you've ever had or the best food you've ever eaten?
Best food you ever eaten.
Yeah, food for sure.
Best food I've ever eaten.
I'm a foodie. I like food.
Would you rather eat all the junk food you want without gaining weight or have unlimited sex without being slut-shamed?
Unlimited sex without being slut shamed.
Who are the bigger slut-shamers, men or women?
Women?
Why are there men who shame women for being sluts when men also complain about how hard it is to get laid? Are those the same men?
No. I think the men that are calling women sluts are looking for a woman that aren't sluts.
If a woman's body count doesn't matter, why is it typically the first thing women bring up to shame another woman they are jealous of?
What did I say? Just literally like 2-3 minutes ago, I said they sit here and talk about they want to call dudes incels, but then they get mad when dudes or females call them sluts, and they want to sit there and act like their body count doesn't matter, but yet the first thing they say to each other when they're pissed, when one of them cheated on, or one of them like had sex with the one's boyfriend, or whatever the case may be, the first thing they always fucking say, "You're a slut, you're a whore, you're a dumb bitch." And it's like, I just don't understand how I don't see the irony in that. Like, I've predicted that so well.
In other words, why would a woman ever slut shame another woman?
Because they know deep down body count does matter.
Is the main reason women don't want to be easy is because they don't want to be shamed? Or could it be that they don't want to relinquish their sexual power over men?
I don't think either one of those. I think the reason why women don't want to be easy is because we don't want to have a body count, because we want to find somebody that wants us for who we are, and the guys that we're looking for don't want a woman with high body count.
Why is it okay for women to feel entitled to be protected and provided for, but it's wrong for men to feel entitled to sex and intimacy?
That's what we're both
I
looking
think
for
after
as
being
genders.
provided for so long, and once you're comfortable in the relationship, that men are going to expect for you to be intimate with them at a certain point.
Are women doing men a favor by giving them sex?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
for a moment.
If a woman rewards a man with sex, why is there still pressure on him to perform and satisfy her?
I feel like men can be selfish.
But girls will not come back if they're not like doing well. Yeah.
Well, why should a man have to earn the opportunity to please you sexually?
Right, because he already made all, like, he already established himself in his career, business, whatever, so he's making the amount of money you wanted him to make. He's the physical attractive level that you wanted him to be. A lot of times his height as well. Charismatic, funny, energetic, all these other factors, like all these things that you needed for him to be in order for him to be able to take you out, be able to do all the, like, you know, get to the point where you actually said, you know what, I'm going to give him sex. Whether it be first date or third date or whatever, you gave him, like, you finally rewarded him with it. So now, not only did he have to do all that to get there, but now he has to also please you in the bedroom. Now, don't get me wrong, I like pleasing my women. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But it's just the point that, like, the pleasure really is more for the man because he had to do all these things just to get there. Whereas you just had to accept it. You had to be willing to do it after him doing all that stuff and meeting all your requirements.
Because women get to decide everything in other species, so why not human species?
Okay, but then if that's true, then...
Not true. They decide who they mate with, yes, which what he just said, rewarding him with sex. But that doesn't mean that they literally every other species is freaking 2 pumps and they're done.
And why do we complain about being in a male-dominated patriarchy where men control women?
He done pulled the ace out on him. He stumped.
It's the hunter and gatherer type of discussion, because we had to stay at home and wait for the men to come and hunt and bring that shit back to us for us to, like, cook and shit. So that's where it started.
Are there female incels?
I think so, maybe.
Would it be fair?
Maybe, but it's probably, you know, we all know what that chick looks like. And to be honest, if that chick was willing to allow whatever dude would give her a shot, like, but she still probably wants a 6-foot dude just making 6 figures, all this shit.
For society to shame a lonely old cat lady for being involuntarily celibate?
No.
How likely are men to have sex with a lonely woman out of pity?
I guess it depends on who you ask. I'd say pretty likely.
How likely are women to have sex with lonely men out of pity?
Never.
Unlikely. They just want men that are rich and famous.
How likely are women to have sex with lonely men out of pity?
Never.
Not so likely.
Why is that?
Because a woman wants a man that looks strong and feels strong, and she feels like she's going to be protected, and that's what they look for. So if you look like you're the weak one cowering in the corner, she's probably not going to go up to you.
Men think that there are these issues. Like, if you were more confident, or if you just, like, put yourself out there more, you just, like, F it, whatever, just do it. I guarantee you, it doesn't matter what the woman's standards are. That's what they're attracted to.
Let me ask you this. So if you woke up tomorrow and you were a guy and you wanted to get laid like most guys do, how would you do it?
I'd go to a bar, find my pretty girl sitting at the bar, sit down, and I'd ask them if I could buy them a drink.
And then
Literally. That's all you have to do. Make yourself there.
Okay, but then she says, what if she says, okay, you buy her the drink, and she leaves? Or she doesn't even respond to you. She just acts as if you're not there. Or, say it plays all the way out. You get her the drink, you guys have a good time, you get her number, maybe you end up even taking her back to the house, and she still denies you. Like, they only see it from the perspective that they have given themselves up in. And judging by her piercing, she's probably given it up. Probably more likely to give it up than, most other chicks, but just in general, they're only seeing it from that perspective, when it's like, no, like, the dude has to do that 20 times before he gets one to sleep with him, let alone, or 20 times to get, a few just to give them their number or whatever, let alone have one sleep with them. Like, they really don't understand the dynamic of you're throwing your line out and just waiting for the bites, like, actively throwing it out, too.
Present yourself. Be confident.
I understand that, but if that was true, why would there be so many guys who complain about being stuck in the friend zone?
Because they're too busy trying to be the nice guy. They're not actually presenting themselves that they want this. They're looking like the friend, so we see them as a friend.
She's speaking some facts, but we do have to recognize the fact that the reason why it's like that is because women continuously say that they want a nice guy. They don't want assholes. They don't want assholes. We all know, at least mature men know, that women do like assholes, or at least dudes that are assertive and actually show their masculinity. But in general, there's the fact that they approached you should tell you enough that they are interested in you sexually. They're attracted to you. And the second thing is that don't sit there and say, oh, they're being too much of a nice guy, and that's the reason why they're not getting anywhere. But yet, another chick, or most other chicks, would say they want a nice guy. So it's like, they don't know what they want. That's what it is.
Do you prefer a man who is a gentleman or a bad boy?
I like a gentleman.
Is it fair to say women lust after bad boys but want to settle down with nice guys?
Yep.
Yes.
How do bad boys treat women?
Like shit.
What's the difference between a man who spoils his woman and a man who's whipped?
What's the difference between a man that spoils his woman and a man that's whipped?
Difference.
His level of consent and his part in.
Why is she's like? If I walked up to you looking like that, you would think something is wrong with me, bro. You would be like, yo, what the hell is up with Brandon? Like, God dang.
Happiness in doing whatever he's doing for his woman. If he's not happy doing it, if he's resenting her.
It depends on the authority that he puts down. Like, there can be a man that spoils his woman in a certain way. He takes her to dinner, he takes her out, he takes her on vacation. And then there's the men that literally bow down hand and foot for their women, that their women are running all over them.
If a woman expects to be spoiled, doesn't that mean she expects her man to be whipped?
No.
Do men shame each other for being whipped the same way women slut shame each other for being easy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I do know that men will shame their friends for being whipped, and I think that's a problem with the patriarchy.
Does every incel hate women?
No.
Wait, what did she say? Problem with the patriarch? What?
Does every feminist hate men?
Probably, yes. Yes.
Does every
Yes,
incel
they
hate
do.
women?
No.
I don't believe every incel hates women.
It's in the definition involuntary.
I think that they might be
Involuntarily.
shyer than most men. I think more alpha males end up getting more sex than more beta males do.
Does every feminist hate men?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes.
And they'll sit there and say, "Oh, men are trash. All men ain't shit." Freaking just on and on and on and on and on. But the minute you say something, and you could even be being nice with it, you're a freaking toxic, problematic incel.
I'm not a feminist. I am more of a traditional woman, so I really can't speak on the feminist woman.
I will say I appreciate the fact that like she's got like the cool hair going on, like the shaved side. She's got like the bigger glasses, the earrings, all the tattoos. Like you would, at first glance, you would think this chick, feminist, hardcore, freaking hates men, whatever. But after talking to her, you'd see, oh, you know what? Actually, she's really cool. She says she's more like a traditional woman, like meaning she likes probably prefers the gender roles, and she has some fucking sense. She's actually logically viewing the world and relationships.
Woman, because I don't agree with most of them.
What is the patriarchy?
Patriarchy is
Thank you. It's
Make me
complicated.
describe
Great
this.
question.
How do you define it?
You don't know.
Well-
You don't know.
The old white men in who have deemed what is acceptable for
Literally, this answer is a freaking current trending freaking Instagram caption, or it's a tweet or something. Like she didn't even know the answer, and that's why earlier I was like, "What the fuck is she talking about? Patriarchy? Like it didn't even matter. Like it didn't revolve around the question." But it's. I'm so glad you asked that. It's complicated. That was a great, great freaking segue. But she doesn't know. She doesn't know what it is. It's just this is what she's been told, so she's just regurgitating the information. Let's wrap this thing up.
men and women, the roles of men and women, social norms. It leads it's all back to white men deciding for everybody.
She's white. Like, what are you talking about? All right, guys. Oh, look, he said shout out Sneeko. Cool. Man, that was a good one. I don't want Sneeko on my screen. Okay. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I crazy? I don't know. Maybe I'm all of the above. But definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe if you appreciate the content. The likes are really important. They really help the algorithm. I'm really trying to grow this channel. It's very nice to see for the first time. I've started maybe 5 or 6 YouTube channels over the years. Only one of them did relatively okay. And my TikTok channel that I had for gaming like does okay, but it's nice to see like something actually have some kind of some kind of steady progression. So I appreciate you guys so very much, and make sure y'all check out the TikTok. It's at Voice of Flex. I always put it in the in the description, and we will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.